Dr. O'Callahan knows why we're here. He told me earlier, he goes, I'm really uncomfortable with this. And I said, that's natural. I expect you to be uncomfortable. If you were comfortable with it, then it's kind of like being the smartest person in the room. You should never be the smartest person in the room. But unfortunately, I don't know that Dennis can get out of that one today. He's the smartest person in the room. And he and Francis are here today. And I want to welcome everyone to this very special occasion of paying tribute to remarkably dedicated individual, a very accomplished, memorable leader in our Health Science Center. That's Dr. Dennis O'Callahan. I'm very proud that his family is here with him today. And I'm sad, like I was sort of kind of bittersweet, kind of like when, same thing with Neil a couple months back. Today is a day to reflect and touch upon some of Dr. O'Callahan's accomplishments. I say some of them, as you can see, some of these things up here. We can't touch on every single one of them, otherwise we'd probably be here for a month. But it's been incredible, his 34 years, almost 35 years of service to our Health Science Center. Dr. O'Callahan serves as a living testament to the immeasurable impact that a single individual can have. Our campus needs more O'Callahans and more Granges. Dr. Kevel tells me that we have some in the wings, and we're going to work on it, and I think that should be something that we promise both Neil and Dennis that we can produce in the future. And I'm confident that there are people in this room who also have the capacity for greatness at the highest level that God can help us provide. Dr. O'Callahan has become an icon at this institution, as well as a nationally and internationally recognized soul. I know you will all join me in acknowledging that there will never be another Dennis O'Callahan. The outside world often thinks of academicians, particularly scientists, as having a quiet, calm demeanor. We all know that Dr. O'Callahan doesn't necessarily fit that mold too well, and thank God for us that he doesn't. Words and phrases that can be used to describe Dr. O'Callahan include brilliant, visionary, focused, a mentor, a caring husband, father, and especially grandfather. But they also include animated, bold, tough, and on occasion even overbearing. Dennis, that's what makes you so memorable and authentic. I believe it is your authenticity that has played the most vital role in the many, many positive relationships that you have established throughout your career. It is tough to lose faculty the caliber of Dr. O'Callahan. His loss is not only felt on our campus, but within and throughout the entire LSU system. Dr. O'Callahan is one of only 10 active Boyd professors in the entire system, of which historically over the past 6 decades there have only been 70 that have been named. It is quite a prestigious honor. To further put the distinction of being a Boyd professor into perspective, I will tell you that there are nearly 4,000 faculty members in the LSU system itself, with only 10 of those, 0.3%, being worthy of being named a Boyd professor. In addition to this high honor of being a Boyd professor, Dr. O'Callahan has a distinction of being awarded the largest number of research grants on our entire campus, totaling nearly $40 million, as you can see there. And Dennis. And that's in the entire history of our Health Science Center. And I sure could use that $40 million right now. To share more memorable views and events, and sort of one of his buddies and his colleagues, one of his former colleagues. I guess you're still a colleague, but I understand now you're doing farming now mainly, is Dr. John Sixby, former professor in the Department of Microbiology and Immunology, and I'd like to welcome Dr. Sixby back and have him come up and make some comments.
Well, I have to tell you, I've had some trouble getting my hands around Dennis's career for two reasons, and in putting them together in this talk. First, how am I going to compress all of his accomplishments into just a handful of remarks? Accomplishments which, as you see, took him 69 pages to cover in his CV. And second, I know Dennis is sitting out there, regardless of what I say, scrutinizing every comment I make as if it was some student seminar. He can't help himself. And nobody knows this topic better than Dennis. I came to know Dennis secondhand, years before he met me, and long before he took up this position here at LSU. During a fellowship at University of North Carolina, I shared a laboratory with Birch Henry, a former student of Dennis's. I'm just seeing if there's a reaction. Dennis hasn't reacted yet. I don't know whether this is one of the better students of Dennis, but he's clearly one of the better storytellers. He used to regale us at length about his Mississippi mentor's virtues, so much so that when we went to the annual herpes virus meeting, everyone in our laboratory had their eyes out for what was eagerly anticipated to be the spirited standout from all the other attendees, and Dennis was never one to disappoint. Birch maintained that Dennis would never push his students harder than he pushed himself, and certainly that's a compliment by any standard. The flip side of that is Dennis is a workaholic, meaning long days, late nights, lost weekends for anyone that's trying to keep pace. But what Birch did come away with was Dennis's passion for science, perhaps a bit of his talent, and that combination basically made the effort of rolling up one's sleeves more or less immaterial. It was during the second phase of Dennis's career that I came to know him firsthand, and that was with Dennis here as chair of Microbiology and Immunology, and me as a member of his faculty. And as such, I can bear witness to the fact that Dennis drove his faculty no harder than he drove himself. The flip side, well, I won't even go there. My appointment in itself was a bit remarkable in that not every basic science chairman will give up one of his slots, faculty slots, to an MD. During his leadership here, Dennis, the department grew in both strength and in size and in repute. He established this multidisciplinary center for virus research, funded by the NIH throughout its, 14 years of existence, with a participating faculty that crossed both departmental and institutional boundaries. And the one point I particularly want to underscore is that the mainstays of his accomplishment as chair were identical to what so favorably colored his students' training experience, that being the attention he paid to faculty and student career development and the obvious satisfaction he derived from each team member's success. It's a success which was fostered by both his good example and his strong support. Now, over the last few weeks, I've been trying to envision in my own mind exactly what a dentist in retirement will look like. Something that we hear and have been told that will begin on St. Patrick's Day. Knowing Dennis, I imagine it will be a headlong pursuit rather than a leisurely pastime. But Dennis, when you do stop long enough to ponder what your lasting contribution might be. And that's something that retirees are inclined to do. Don't turn to your CV for the answer. Look instead to all these scientific children that you spawned, children, grandchildren, even great-grandchildren. It's a lineage that's every bit as durable and worthy of pride as your Irish one. Or maybe I'll rephrase that. It's almost as worthy of pride as your Irish one. I'll stop here, Dr. Goss.
Thank you, Dr. Sexby, for those wonderful comments. It's great to have you back on our campus, and I know it means a lot to Dr. O'Callahan for you to be here today. So thank you for being here so much. Well, next, Dennis, I know how much you like surprises. He's like, so we have a real treat. We're going to hear from some of Dennis's family members. His son Brady, Judge, and his two grandsons, twin grandsons, that are almost 12 years old, Logan and Marshall, accompanied by their dad. Don't worry, Dennis, it's going to be okay.
Today we have come here to celebrate one of the hardest working people we know. That person is our grandfather, Dr. Dennis O'Callahan. After 34 years of teaching at LSU Medical Center, he is now taking a very well-deserved break. In his nearly 50 years of teaching and research, he has impacted the lives of everyone around him. For example, he taught many students, some of them including the parents of some of our friends and our pediatrician. Not only did he teach them, but he also taught us. However, he didn't teach us medical terms or how to determine different bacteria. No, he taught us something better. He taught us how to live our lives. He taught us the power of hard work, determination, and education. Without him, we would not be where we are today at a good school. Although he has accomplished many great things, he couldn't have accomplished any of them without the love, support, patience, and of course, the home-cooked meals of our grandmother, Frances O'Callahan. For all he has taught us, and for all the love he has given us, we would like to say, Happy Retirement, Pop-Pop.
That was awesome, guys. Thank you very much. Logan and Marshall for being on the program today to honor your Pop-Pop. We all know how fond he is of you too, so having you here was really cool. Thanks for being here. Now, I'd like to invite Vice Chancellor Kevel to come up and share a special presentation.
So it gives me great pleasure to present Dr. O'Callahan with a proclamation from the city of Shreveport. And if you'll allow me the opportunity to read it to you, I think it bears repeating some of the things that Dr. O'Callahan has truly meant to our institution over the years. And by no means is it a trivial list, but I'll try to be brief here. So, whereas one of the most accomplished scientists ever to live and work in Shreveport and in the state of Louisiana, as reflected in his name by being a Boyd Professor, the pinnacle of recognition among LSU faculty members, and in his setting at the LSU Health Shreveport record of being awarded $39 million in external research funding, Dr. Dennis O'Callahan. And whereas through highly acclaimed service and accomplishments as a professor and chairman of the Department of Microbiology and Immunology, since 1984, The department became known and highly respected both nationally and internationally. Whereas Dr. O'Callahan's distinguished service and recognition includes, but is not limited to, being a chairman of numerous NIH study sections, site visits, one of the founders of the 2000 to 2001 President of the American Society of Virology, a fellow of the Molecular Medicine Society and the American Association for the Advancement of Science, and a 50-plus year membership and service to the American Society for Microbiology, elected member of the American Society for ASBMB, and a member of the International Advisory Committee for International Congresses in Virology in Turkey. Whereas for the 2002 establishment of the Center for Molecular and Tumor Virology, the indelible cobrae that really set this campus alight, and has been awarded 15 consecutive years of NIH funding as one of the largest groups of experts working in many areas of molecular and tumor research worldwide, fostering the development and research careers of faculty members, and training more than 100 postdoctoral researchers and graduate students. I think that's actually not all. Whereas Dr. O'Callahan has taught over 10,000 graduate medical, dental, nursing students, postdoctoral fellows, and medical residents, many of whom have gone on to have prolific careers of their own. And whereas he has established unique distinction of having more than 200 peer-reviewed publications in prestigious international journals, while serving as editor of virus research and on the editorial board of the Journal of Virology and many other journals. And whereas being internationally recognized for his knowledge and findings in the field of herpes virus, bringing tremendous prestige to LSU Health Shreveport, the city of Shreveport, the LSU system, and the entire region through his remarkable and accomplished career. We salute Dr. O'Callahan. Would you please come up, Dr. O'Callahan?
It's actually Dennis O'Callahan Day, right?
Yeah.
This is it, right?
Right. That's it.
So this is actually officially Dennis O'Callahan Day in Shreveport. So congratulations. Dr. O'Callahan, we'd like to present you with this gift here. And do you have any comments you'd like to make? I'll put this right here. Come on up.
Well, see if I can get through this. I'd like to thank each of you for being here today and for your friendship and collegiality during our time together at this wonderful institution. To the speakers, I thank you for your overly gracious comments. I did notice the Pinocchio effect, that some of the noses were growing a bit, but extreme hyperbole is rare, but it was on display today, and I greatly appreciate it. I have been very fortunate in my career, 58 years. 58 years ago, I entered my first laboratory at Loyola University and worked with a young microbiologist, Joe Cooney. And I quickly was just enchanted with what science was all about. And I quickly decided what I wanted to be was a microbiologist. My doctoral mentor, Chuck Randall, and my postdoc mentor, John Coulter, were both truly pioneers in virology. Each of them made seminal and fundamental contributions and discoveries that have stood the test of time. They both opened a tremendous number of doors for me beyond my expectation. I'm certain that everybody in this audience knows that what we do in academic activities and in research is a collaborative and interactive process. And none of us would be successful without the help of the hundreds of our colleagues and collaborators. Speaking for myself, I've had the good fortune to interact with very talented faculty members, postdocs, grad students, many of whom are in this audience today. And I greatly appreciate them more than they know. I've taught thousands of students, and I've come to the realization that I probably learn a lot more from them than I impart to them. And I think all of us who teach especially these strange beings called graduate students, feel the same way. I would like to thank some of the administrators of this medical center who tolerated my impatience, my unsolicited advice as how to run the place. Perry Rigby and Ike Muslow in 1984 convinced me not to go to Wake Forest as chairman of Micro and to come to this Development Med Center. I had a rude awakening my first Saturday morning. I came up at 6 o'clock. The labs were 92 degrees. It was pitch black dark. And I was told, nobody works here on weekends. Why turn on the light? Why turn on the air conditioner? So with your help, we had behavior modification. I'd also like to acknowledge John McDonald. When I first came here, he was sort of my mentor as well as my poker playing buddy. The great thing about John McDonald is there was never any doubt. There was great clarity. Whenever I would go give him my unsolicited advice and bitch, he would say, "Damn it, Dennis, I can swallow that rat." And he swallowed lots of rats for me during his tenure as chancellor. I'd like to thank my parents. They had to go to work as teenagers to help support their family. But they always instilled education, education, work ethic, work ethic. I'd like to thank my family, my son Brady, my daughter-in-law, who's like a daughter, Amy, and these strange creatures called grandkids, especially Logan and Marshall, as you know, will soon be 12. We always name Logan first because, as he reminds us frequently, he's 1 minute older than Marshall, and hence he's the big brother. Last, I thank Frances for the 50-plus years of our marriage. She is. As you know, she's been supportive. A lot of our friends and former students always refer to her as Saint Francis. Not sure why that's so. I've decided I really don't want to know. So saying goodbye to my good friends here is very difficult, but I love you very much. Thank you. Goodbye.
Before we break down to reception in the Zadok, I want to just make a couple of comments. One, I'm really going to miss Dennis because I can tell you he's a perfect guy that you want in your cabinet if you're a president or a chancellor or whatever you want to call it, because he kind of tells it like it is. He doesn't hold back. He's not a yes man, and he usually, not usually, 99.99% of the time does what's right. And he may not always make the right decision 100% of the time, but 99.999% of the time he's making what he thinks is in the best interest of the faculty and the students and the fellows and the institution as a whole. So thank you, Dennis. I'm pleased to announce the plan to establish the John and Odile O'Callahan Endowed Professorship in Microbiology, as Dr. Callahan has chosen to name the professorship in honor of his parents. The professorship, with a sizable contribution by the O'Callahan family, will provide funding for educational enhancement to include student travel and a visiting speaker series. This will only be the second endowed professorship in the basic sciences, making it very important to our campus. Thank you to the entire O'Callahan family. Additionally, I have a letter right here that says that you will maintain your Boyd professorship in perpetuity, and it makes you a Boyd professor emeritus. So I have this letter here for you. Yes, Dennis, this is like the Hotel California. You can check in, but you never check out. I want to thank those who have already contributed to Dr. O'Callahan's professorship, and if you want details on how you can contribute, go through Lisa or Kevin Flood through our foundation. Again, I think I've touched everything, I believe. I want to thank everyone for being here, and I'd like to invite everyone to join Dennis and Francis and the entire O'Callahan family in the Zadok Conference Center for a reception downstairs. Thank you all very much for being here, and congratulations, Dr. O'Callahan.